So energy systems of Ayurveda and yoga. And if I do have, there are some bonus slides, depends on the time. But we are talking, it's like you learn anatomy, physiology. So when you learn Ayurveda, these are some of the key things that I thought that would be good to present here. So today I'm talking about Koshas, Chakras, and Nadis. Is there anybody who has not heard these things at all before? Okay, so everybody knows a little bit about it. So let's start. So today it's understanding the human anatomy and physiology from Ayurvedic perspective. And when we reach the deeper layers, we talk about we exist at different levels, and as we reach different deeper layers, we can actually reach our very core, which is the Atma or the soul or the universal self. Because as a medical system, Ayurveda talks about we exist at levels of mind, body, senses, and the soul. So body is the physical and material sheath of our existence. And it's a complex system that consists of multiple layers. And when we understand this, it enables us to look at how to remain energetic and stress-free. So a little bit about Ayurveda. It's a holistic science of health, and it mainly focuses on keeping our mind, body, and spirit to be in balanced state. Ayurveda has been known, and they say that it has existed for about 40,000 years. Initially in oral form, from teacher to pupil, the knowledge was passed on. And the texts are said to be about 6,000-year-old as well. So it depends on where you want to start with. It's an ancient science. So the first thing that we are talking about today is koshas. Koshas, there are 5 koshas we say that we exist, or sheath. Kosha can translate loosely to mean a sheath. And these are the 5 koshas, the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanmaya, and Anandamaya. The first kosha is Annamaya. It is the physical sheath, and Anna means food. So it is reminding us our first layer is made up of the physical food that we eat. And that is why in Ayurveda we take care about what is our diet, what is nutrition, and we have heard, probably all of us, that we are what we eat, right? So it is actually something that Ayurveda talks about, and that is why we do take care of what we eat, how we cook. All of that is considered very important to stay in balance. So Annamaya is the first kosha, and it is made up of 5 great elements, or Mahabhutas: space, air, fire, water, and earth. There is an old ANTA seminar that I've given. I think that should be on the website, where you can learn even more about that. But this particular one is not focusing. It's just recapping that we are made up of 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. And this first one, the Annamaya kosha, is the sheath of the physical self, and it is nourished by food, and it is the most tangible aspect of ourselves. You know, we can touch and feel and see it. So it is the physical aspect of who we are. But that's not the only thing that we are. And if we actually want to work on this physical sheath, we have to go deeper and look at the other aspects, from Ayurvedic perspective at least, when we are talking about. So we need to bring, and what do we need to do for the physical body to stay healthy? We need flexibility, we need toning, we need strength, we need balance, we need relief, we want to de-stress, we want to relax, and we want fitness. And we do different things for that to be achieved, right? And so that is what is required by Annamaya kosha. And we use asanas and diet and lifestyle to do that typically. From when somebody comes to us for consult, we will look at, and we may look at their diet, we can look at their lifestyle, and we can make recommendations around that. The next one is Pranamaya Kosha. So Pranamaya Kosha, prana, have you ever heard the term prana? Yeah? So the prana is the vital force that permeates the body and all that matters. Okay? If we have, and it includes physical manifestation as our breath is a simple manifestation of that prana that is happening, though it is a bit more than that as well. But this is one way to easily know that we have that prana or life force that is permeating our body. And life can continue as long as the prana's vital force remains in the organism, right? We are technically dead if there's no breath, no prana left. And then the third one is Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha is that sheath that is what we call as the mental level. You know, what is a human being? Mind and body are two sides of the same coin. You can't separate them. So mental or Manomaya Kosha is the mental level that tries to take care of the basic instinctive needs and desires of that individual. And it is made up of 4 parts, or 4 aspects, I would say. Okay, they are not divided into 4 parts. It's like, it's in a way like you are here as a practitioner as well as a student. Somewhere else, you are a parent or a child or a friend, right? They're not different people, but different aspects, different ways of looking at things. So Manomaya Kosha has 4 aspects. Manas, or the thinking mind, which consists of our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. Then Ahankar, or the ego, which is the sense of I-ness. This is me, right? This is physically me, which is distinct from anybody else. Yes? And it is also required for self-preservation. How do I look after myself is going to be very important if I want to look after this physical body. So that is the ahamkar. But it is again more than that. It is all the thoughts that make me me as well. So that ahamkar or ego is there. And then mental body also has 2 other things, chitta or the memory and buddhi or the intellect. We are made up of our memories too. You know, think about when what are the emotional issues, for example, what people go through? It is coming from the old memories. Men are like that, or women are like that, or my mother is like that, or exams are hard, or whatever we have thought. It is coming from the memory of the past. This lifetime, or if we go by Ayurvedic perspective, it could be any lifetime that we have stored those memories, and that they are determining our life. So when we are looking at wellness in a holistic perspective, we would be looking at what is this person thinking about as well. So chitta or the memory. And the 4th aspect is the intellect. So these all are part of Manomaya Kosha. Then 4th one is Vijnanmaya Kosha. So Vijnanmaya Kosha is the higher level of our intellect. And thinking about, let me just read a little bit from here. We experience this Vijnanmaya Kosha where most of the dross is cleared out of the unconscious mind, and ego or ahankar at this level is not about survival and exploitation, but it is at the evolved level of love and compassion and all those kind of feelings, which are at a bit higher level. I'm not working at the survival level, that I've gone above them. And I don't, for example, it has got that intuition. This is the level of higher intelligence, good intellect, intuition, wisdom, higher knowledge, and psychic abilities. Okay? So this is, do you have the experience when you know something innately? You haven't learned it from any external force, but you do know that that's how it is. Okay, I'm going to ask you one question. How many of you think love is the highest power in the world? Have you learned it from somewhere? Is it only because you have learned it in school or home or somewhere? Or is it something that you just know? Where is that kind of knowledge stored? Is in the Vijnanmaya kosha. Okay, so we just know innately, intuitively. We may not be able to practice it all the time, but we do know it. Yes? So these are the kind of things that are stored in the Vijnanmaya kosha. And we use Ayurveda and yoga to increasingly access and develop Vijnanmaya kosha by working on the lower three koshas. The Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Manomaya koshas can work on directly so that we can clear them up, we can detox those, and we have more access to that. This one. So that we innately work with that, we are not working in the survival mode, we innately know how to live powerfully, experiencing love and compassion and all those kind of ways, so that we practically are living using those things. At this level, our feelings are no longer the crude emotions of survival, but evolved levels of love and compassion and joy and fulfilling relationships. Do you have sometimes had glimpse of that? And isn't that, you think, a deeper level all of us are wanting to live by? Whatever profession we are, whatever, financially, wherever we are, or whatever age we are at, is that not something that we are innately trying to live by? And that is the concept of wellness, that when somebody is actually living from there. Yes? And that's what we are working when we are working on wellness from Ayurvedic perspective or as a holistic sense, that how do we have more and more access to this? How do we live from here? Our day-to-day life, our relationships, our work, our own relationship with ourselves is coming from here. How do we access that? Because that will be true wellness. Rest all is still survival. If my blood test reports come within a certain range, doesn't mean that I'm having a good life, right? But if I can live from here, then is when I can say I'm well. Yes? That is what we all innately want to achieve. And all of us, here we are all practitioners here. That's what we are, underlying reason why we are working with people or why we are in this field probably is that we want to access that. Yes? And we aim, typically Western psychotherapies aim for a person to develop about middle somewhere. And Maslow called them these people who have kind of achieved there as self-actualized people. Yes? You know about that. And these people are, what are the qualities of these people? What Maslow described. Objective, accepting, independent, creative. They work for welfare of others and are honest and simple. Yes? So that is still not complete power of Vijnanmaya kosha, but still quite up there, where when we look at them, we say, yes, I would love to live like that. But Ayurveda and yoga, in this, when we are looking at this energy systems, this is still just probably somewhere in the middle. We can do even more. Not all of us have done it. Not all of us have reached that place, or not all of us even think about reaching those levels, but this is what has been described in the text. The last one in terms of koshas is Anandamaya kosha. Ananda literally means bliss. So it is that kosha that is in the most intimate contact with the Atma or the soul or the infinity within, because it's a forever joyful life. It isn't dependent on what actions I'm doing or what people I'm doing or what I'm achieving. It's just that kind of experience that is forever joyful or peaceful, because that's who I am as a soul. So I don't have to go anywhere to do this, to get that. But it is just, that is our experience of life. Again, it sounds very idealistic, right? Because nobody knows practically, I don't know how to reach there, right? But it is my wish that I want to reach there. That's where I'm putting my effort on, but I don't have practically the experience of that. And you look around, not necessarily everybody, not practically that it is how we are living our life, but this is what inspires us. Yes? So this is connection of the Anandamaya kosha. And it's not just an emotion, it's the experience of peace and love and ecstasy from being in contact with that ultimate consciousness, where I am living that expression of infinite. So there is nothing to achieve, nothing to do, just experience that bliss in whatever little things or big things I'm doing. Anandamaya, or that which is composed of supreme bliss, is regarded as the innermost of all the koshas. And yogis who are at that level tell us that is the true reality of all of us. Basically, Ayurveda is about that. Like, it is fundamentally we say that this is who we are, but what is happening, why I'm not experiencing that in my everyday life is because I've covered myself, or it is covered in very loose term toxins. My physical toxins, my mental emotional toxins, my maybe foods that I'm eating which are affecting the Annamaya kosha, or the emotions, typically sadness, anger, frustration, all those kind of emotions that I'm experiencing, which are mental and emotional toxins, that they are covering this. So it is hidden. We cannot experience it. And then once we know that, or that is our fundamental principle, then the effort is in how to remove those toxins through diet, through lifestyle, etc. So they tell us that we are already there, but caught up in the dramas of our lives and don't realize who we are. Meditation, for example, is one tool to have that stillness so that we can become aware of that. I don't experience necessarily that I am that bliss in my day-to-day life. I need to create time and that stillness. Probably then, if I'm still enough, I can see that, yes, there is something more. Otherwise, if I'm caught up in the drama of my life, I may be quite away from this. So, for example, meditation is one tool to create that stillness so that I can at least have a sense of that there is something more to me than what I'm doing on a daily basis or how I'm living on a daily basis. We are literally born to be blissful because the Anandamaya kosha is the deepest layer of my personal self. It is not restricted to a person. It is there in all of us. Fundamentally, we all have those 5 koshas. That means innately it is available to me. But will I be able to access that depends on how much effort I will put in removing those toxins that are covering this, okay? And then whole effort of Ayurveda then goes into how to uncover, how to remove those toxins, and how to rejuvenate. You are in the bliss body in those moments during which you recognize viscerally rather than intellectually that love is the deepest reality beyond mental constructs or ideas. Have you had any moments of those in your life? And they are always memorable, aren't they? You know, even if there were moments out of whole life, but they are the ones that remain in our memory and inspire us that I want more of that. That was sweetness. That fruit was sweet, and I want to have that. You know, there are a lot of bitter places and all those kind of things that life gives. But these are the ones. And how do we access them? And that's the effort of Ayurveda, with coming from that understanding that there is so much more that is there in each and every one of us. Universally, we are made in the same way. We may be at different place in life at different times, depending on how much toxin we have and how much effort we have put in this lifetime, or if you go by Ayurveda, previous lifetimes as well. What is my effort? So it really is up to me. Now let's look at chakras. In Sanskrit, chakra actually means wheel. Okay? And there are 7 chakras that people would have heard. Have you heard these 7 names? Sahasrar, Ajna, Agya, Vishuddhi, Anahata, Muladhara, Manipura, Swadhisthana, and Muladhara. Okay? But chakras are really, if we look at, these are the main 7, but these are not the only ones. So in ancient texts, some traditional texts have mentioned 88,000 chakras. And only about 40 secondary chakras are considered significant. Most important of these are located in the areas of spleen, the back of the neck, the palms of the hands, and soles of the feet. And these 7 primary chakras are located along our spine. Okay? So there are plenty. But how they reach 88,000, please don't ask me. Don't give me the question, because I would have no idea how they have. But they have said that there are plenty of them. You know, wherever there is energy moving, there is a chakra. But these 7 are along the spine, and they are the most important ones that we have typically heard of. And these are also considered the colors of these chakras in which they are written. So they are the receivers, transformers, and distributors of prana, the life force. Ayurveda and yoga describe this subtle network of energy within the physical body, which flows in the channels called Nadis, which I'll be covering again. And at main points where these Nadis intersect, there is a chakra. And that's how they said that there's all these 88,000 chakras. And this is considered to be kind of energy modulator in Pranamaya Kosha, and in Manomaya Kosha, a kind of switch for different aspects. You know, we talked about in Manomaya Kosha, we have ego or ahankar, and chitta or memory and intellect. So these are the switches for the different aspects of the personality. The 7 primary chakras that I'll be talking about are located along a central vertical axis called Sushumna Nadi, which is at the front of the body. And first one is Muladhara, which is at the floor of the perineum, and it deals generally with one's personal sense of security self-preservation, with material possessions, and with sexuality and reproduction, and relates to fear, insecurity, and greed. And many of us are caught in that all the time, right? Or there are many other things going on, but these are the things which are stored in the, or are connected with the Muladhara chakra. And the Swadhisthana deals with joy, humor, enjoyment of sexuality, and seeking pleasure in general. Relates to feelings of depression and guilt depending on what's going on. And Manipura in the spinal area behind the navel deals with personal power, self-esteem, and dynamic actions to get things done. And it relates to the feelings of pride and ego and anger and shame. Anahata in the spinal area behind the heart deals with love, compassion, and emotions and feelings, and relates to feeling of love and compassion. Vishuddhi is in the spinal area behind the throat, deals with communication and interpersonal relationships, relates to feelings of exhalation or embarrassment depending on communication skill. So it's something to do with the communication. So it depends on how we are, what good we are. We are connecting with that chakra there. And Agya is the central of the brain behind the point between the eyebrows, deals with intellect, intuition, wisdom, and psychic powers. And Sahasrara is at the top of the head. It is the culmination of evolution of all the other 6. We work on the other 6, and it is this gets the fruit of that, so to speak. Okay, this will show up how much we have worked on the other ones. And it is the center of enlightenment, the highest attainment of all the other centers. All the chakras are associated with physical body also. So typically with each chakra, there is an endocrine gland that is connected. And it works as cleaning up the different koshas as well. For example, Muladhara and Swadhisthana chakra deal with survival and sexuality, which are common to all animals. So if we are operating from there, we are still have the human body, we are still operating more as with the animal instinct. In contrast, Agya chakra deals with the intellect, intuition, and psychic powers, more human qualities. So the more we are working on the upper level chakras, so to speak, the more enlightened the human beings we become. And again, it is available to all of us. It is not prerogative of certain people. Our inside, universally, it is available to all of us. But some seem to have more access to one thing than another, and it is just because in our evolution, that's where we are. But it also gives hope too, that everything is possible for me too. I don't have to ever lose hope that this is who I am. You know, you can talk to the worst criminal in the world, but if they open up, they will know love is the most important thing in the world. It's not that they don't have access to that. They didn't live with that is a different thing. That's their toxins. But remove them, and life will start showing up in a different way for them as well. So there is nobody who's a gone case. For the higher qualities of upper chakras to evolve, the traps of greed, lust, and power, hunger of lower chakras need to be worked through. The physical components of the chakras, these are intangible things that we are talking about, chakras, but their nervous plexus, endocrine glands, etc. are involved and form an important link in the body energy mind complex. We are not just a physical body, we are not just a mind as well. We are not just energy. We have got all of those. So we are talking, when we are talking about koshas and chakras, we exist at the physical domain. For example, Annamaya kosha is a physical thing, but Anandamaya kosha is totally energy thing that we are talking about. And we have all of those. They form main route by which physical practices of yoga and Ayurveda affect mind and vitality. You know, it's very hard to access those subtle things, energetic things directly. For example, I know I have got a lot of anger or resentment sitting in me. If I could, wouldn't I switch that off? But can I switch it off? Is it so easy to switch off my anger? No, right? How do we access is through the physical things, through diet, through lifestyle, through yoga. You know, we change those things so that we start working from the gross level to touch the subtle. Because there is no way to directly change the subtle. Right? But then the whole science of Ayurveda, for example, we talk about foods, not just in terms of proteins and vitamins and minerals. We look at the foods from, what does it do to my mind? That's the way to choose food. What does it do to my mind? Because we know the the Annamaya kosha, and then rest of them, they are all connected. They're not separate things that we can say, this is me, this is not me. All of them are me. So by choosing the right food and changing and looking at what we are doing in Annamaya kosha, we can touch the Manomaya kosha. We can access the Anandamaya kosha through those physical things to reach the non-physical. So let's look at, yes, we do have time. Maybe we can talk about. And so detox of the lower chakras and koshas is very important so that we can access the non-physical. Because that is where we want to, the bliss is not physical thing, is it? It's totally non-physical, just experiential. So, and joy and peace, they're not physical things or cannot be physically given injections of, right? So we start from the physical to access those non-physical as a science. Let's look at now the third things that we wanted to talk about, nadis. Nadis are the energy, yoga and Ayurveda view the energy body as a discrete entity which takes up the same space as the physical body and overlaps it. I don't have the pictures here, many pictures here. Probably you would have seen the energy body and the chakras in the humans. You would have seen those pictures, right? So we talk about the nadis, and this energy flows through energy channels called nadis. It's like the blood flows through the arteries and the veins. So nadis are the subtle channels through which the energy flows. And this energy body is overlapping the physical body. A nadi is not a nerve, but it is a distinct flow of prana independent of the physical structures. And the term nadi means a pipe or a vessel or a vein. So it's like physically we can see the arteries and the veins and the blood. But these nadis are through which the non-physical, the energy is flowing. Have you noticed, like, there are people, or have you heard or said yourself, I love the energy of this person, or I don't like the energy of this person. What are you experiencing? Probably they haven't even said a word, right? Sometimes they haven't even said a word, but you have a sense of, I don't like this energy or I like that energy. So what are we experiencing is the energy body. What are they storing in their Manomaya kosha? What are they storing? How much is the energy flowing there? And what kind of energy? Is it of love and compassion, or is it greed and self-power, and what is flowing? We can sense it if we sit still or be attentive to that. Bring our awareness, and we know a lot. Yes? So that's what we are reading. And Ayurveda talks about it as a science, not just as something that is just for you. It is unique to you. It is a very subjective thing because nobody else can experience what you are experiencing. But it is subjective as well as objective, because that's how most of the things are in life. As science, we talk about trying to be objective. But can you take away your own subjectiveness even from the science? You can never do that. So Ayurveda is subjective as well as objective. And when we are sensing our energy, somebody's energy, we are understanding, or we are tapping into that. But that is unique to me. I can never explain it to somebody. And there are no instruments yet made which are subtle enough to measure those things. But we know them. Yes? Okay. The function of nadi is to transport prana, or vital energy, throughout a person's subtle energy system. And again, nadis, in Indian context, again, they mention 72,000 nadis. And again, that's another question I don't want to hear at the end or any time, because I don't know how or what was their level of consciousness who said that there are 72,000 nadis. It is subtle energy, and how could they track? How could they count? No idea, but that's what has been mentioned. Obviously, the people at that time, or those who gave that system, were operating at a much higher level of consciousness than we are doing. And then there are other texts which have also, even more ancient writings, mentioned 350,000 nadis. So there are plenty of nadis, because energy is flowing in the bodies. And it's like, do we know exactly how many billion cells do I have? Do you know exact number? How many you have and how many I have? It's something that, but still we know that it is in that range. So how they reach that number, don't know. But each one of those cells is alive, is conscious, right? It knows what is food, for example. It knows what is food, what is not food. It knows what is me, it knows what is enemy, right? That's how we create those inflammations in the body, and all those things are happening because each cell knows, this is me, this is not me. It may be this cell and this cell have no direct connection, but still they know it, that this is still the same person, right? Or this is the enemy cell. I need to protect me. So there is consciousness in each and every single cell, right? So that is through the energy, and the nadis are, the prana is flowing through them. The level of consciousness of every living being depends on the frequencies of prana it is capable of absorbing and storing. We are all not living, we are not come out of the factory. We are all different and unique. Each one of us is unique. So we all have different energies, different levels of prana, different level of consciousness and awareness in us. And whatever probably you have heard of is the three main nadis, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Have you heard these names? Right? These are the three biggest nadis that have been spoken about. So these are the three most prominent nadis occurring along the spinal axis, the main nadi being Sushumna, with Ida and Pingala running on either side of it. If you look at the picture here. Sushumna is said to represent balance, and Ida and Pingala are the moon and the sun aspect of the nature. Ida is connected with the mental force related to mental activity creativity, being introvert, feminine, lunar force, the color blue, the right side of the brain, and left nostril. So Ida is connected with all of those. In fact, I can maybe give you a handy hint here. Because it's a lunar one, so it's cooling. So if somebody is feeling too hot, close the right nostril and breathe from the left. This will start flowing more, and it will bring cooling. And opposite one is, say if you've got cold, close this one and start breathing from the right. It will bring more sun, so it will bring more heat in the body. So that's something that you can just take from what the Ida and Pingala represent. So Ida is the lunar, and Pingala is the physical activity, solar energy, extroversion, masculine, the color red, connected with left brain and right nostril. Okay? So these are the three we are talking about here. Sushumna, it becomes active when Ida and Pingala are balanced. So when left brain and right brain are balanced, when left breath and right breath are balanced, then this becomes active, and a flow of energy known as Kundalini is able to rise through it. So it's energy flowing through the Sushumna when the left and the right are balanced. And if anybody does yoga here, they know about alternate breathing. What we are working on is bringing the balance. Sushumna runs along the axis of the spinal column, and Ida and Pingala are represented as twining around it on opposite sides, crossing at 6 points up the length of the spine, and those 6 points are the main chakras of the body as well. You know, the ones that we read, Muladhara and Swadhisthana. So that is what we are doing. Do we have time for this? Maybe I can quickly cover. So once we understand these chakras and nadis and koshas, and understand that we could be at any different point. You know, my physical body may be feeling things. There are knots. There are in the body. There are stresses stored in the body, or there are emotions that we could be storing in the body. Now, how do I clean them up so that I can access the Vijnanmaya kosha, I can access the evolution in me, I can reach the higher chakras? How do I do that? And as I said, that there is no, we cannot reach the subtle directly. We have to go through the physical. And that is why we talk about the diet and the lifestyle and the herbs, and then there are physically, we give treatments, etc., that can be used. We are clearing up the lower levels of chakras. We are clearing up the nadis, or clearing up the life force that is flowing through. We are clearing up the Manomaya kosha through certain other kind of activities. And what is happening is, as they are clearing up, the access to the Vijnanmaya and the Anandamaya is increasing for us. And so the considerations would be changing your lifestyle, changing diet, and strengthening digestion. Well, when here we are talking about soul, and here I am talking about digestion. Why do we do that? Because if I'm digesting the food properly, then I'm creating less toxins in my body. And if I'm creating less toxins in my body, the subtle pathways are clearer. Okay? In Ayurveda, for example, we talk about sattvic diet, which is the kind of diet or the kind of food that is nourishing to the soul as well. Have you know, even in ordinary language we use that. What is nourishing to the soul? Having that kind of food, and of course, as a science, then we explain which ones are good for good foods versus which ones are not so good foods based on what do they do to the quality of my mind, okay? And again, if I go by science, if somebody comes to me, then we also look at, okay, what's their body type and what would work for them within that. But once you understand the basics, it's actually quite intuitive. You will know, you do know, don't you, what food is good for you, what isn't? Whether you eat it or not doesn't matter. But when you eat it, you know that, don't you? Yes? So that knowledge is actually there. It might be covered up. I may not listen to it because practically it doesn't work for me, or I've heard different things and I'm trusting those different things rather than my own intuition about it. But I know it, right? I know what food works for me, what food doesn't work for me. Yes? So we look at diet, we look at lifestyle, we look at herbs, and cleanse the srotas, which are the micro and the macro channels in the body. Each cell has got those channels, and then, for example, whole digestive tract is a big channel in the body. So micro and macro channels are cleared up through the diet and lifestyle. And through panchakarma, which are the kind of treatments that we offer, which is like spring cleaning kind of treatments, and use self-oleation, so oil. It's like we use oil a lot on the body as well. It's like, have you made an omelette or egg sometime and left it in the pan, and after a while it becomes dried and crusty? Toxins can become like that as well. They typically start with being slimy and sticky and mucousy, but leave it on for a while and they can become dried and crusty. So how do we remove that? Same thing as we do with the egg, for example. You know, put the pot in the hot water, with the hot water and a drop of liquid, dishwashing liquid, and after a while it's easier to clean. Self-oleation does work on similar principle probably. So you just put the oil on and that will help move that those toxins from the body. Energy released from physical tensions and mental repressions also increases vitality. So actually self-massage works with that as well. And people routinely come and tell us that that's how they are feeling, just because they have put some oil on. For Manomaya kosha and clearing of repressed memories, we do something called Chitta Shuddhi Yoga, and we have a whole set of treatments that we offer, panchakarma kind of treatments, which can be used for that. And clearing up of old memories and old habits, which are again ingrained. Have you noticed sometimes that you are, your habits are running your life? Where are they stored? Sometimes they are positive and good, they work for me. And then there are times when I want to change them because they are not working for me. But they are like, something happens. It's like Pavlov's dog. Something happens and I respond a certain way. Yeah? My partner says something and I know I'm going to go this way. I'm going to reply like that. Not that I want to. I know it doesn't work for me, but that's what I do. Yeah? So clearing up those kind of things. It's like rebooting your computer system. Can you do that? I mean, nature has made one way, will go away one day, go into the scrap heap and come back again. But is there any other way what I can do while I'm alive? So even simple things like choosing right diet or doing self-massage or herbs can give us access to that. And then we can also use asanas. Traditionally, Ayurveda and yoga has gone together. And asanas change body and state of mind and promote health, and the mind becomes positive. Anulom Vilom or pranayama is typically traditionally used as part of yoga, but it is also, we recommend as an Ayurveda practitioner as well. But yoga is also by changing the body postures or holding certain body postures, as we were listening in the first slide, in the first seminar. We are giving different habits to the body, and that is also helping release the toxins that are stored there as well. And meditation, I was just saying that meditation brings benefits on all the 5 koshas, because what it does is It gives that stillness. You know, otherwise, if we don't put any effort, typically mind is constantly wavering. And if it is like, if the water is moving, you can't see the shadow properly. Yes? So in the stillness, I can actually see things differently. What is going on? What is required? Where am I? How do I move to the place where I need to move? Or if I can give you another example, if you have driven a manual car, you do need to go to the neutral to change the gears, don't you? Seemingly, when you are in neutral gear, you're not going anywhere. But without going there, you cannot change gears. So meditation is something like that. Going to that neutral gear, seemingly I'm not doing anything. Everything is still. Nothing is happening. But it is the most important place if I want to change something. That's where I'll finish. A little bit about our services. We do the consultations, we do treatments, we have herbs and herbal oils, we have teaching programs, and there's another program starting in June. That's a one-year program if you want to. And also I've left somewhere outside. There is an online program we do. I have started, and if you are ANTA member, you can take this and do that, and using that coupon, you'll get 20% off. And thank you very much. You have any questions?